Another deadline day trade for a closer has officially hit the timeline as Kyle Finnegan is being moved to the Detroit Tigers from the Washington Nationals, and a move that the Tigers are hoping will propel them towards another American League crown. With many relievers on the injured list, including new acquisition Paul Sewald, Alex Lange, Jason Foley, and Sean Gunther, the Tigers really hope that Finnegan can help backfill a bullpen that hopefully will be at full strength going into the 2025 postseason, and the Tigers can win a World Series ring. The Nationals, on the other hand, in full rebuild mode, get a prospect to try and solidify their future and cement themselves as a World Series contender in a couple years, as they've been trading away a lot of their expiring contracts to do so. In this video, we'll dive into the Kyle Finnegan trade that just dropped, get you all of the latest updates on all the players involved in the deal, and give you some gut reaction trade grades for each player as well. If you like this kind of content and want to stay up to date on everything happening this trade deadline, make sure to subscribe to the channel. It's the easiest way to do that. Support my channel and you get even more great baseball content from me and other creators out there as well. Without further ado, let's dive into this Kyle Finnegan trade and see exactly how the Tigers and Nationals made out. Finnegan, who will be a free agent at the end of this year, has spent his entire career with the Nationals, breaking out in the COVID-shortened 2020 season, pitching in 25 games as a reliever, finishing 4 of them, with a .9 B WAR, which is definitely solid across only 24 and 2/3 innings pitched, striking out 27 and walking 13. So he's always been a heavy walk guy, and over the past couple years, he's lowered that walk rate, but also lowered the strikeout rate. Last year, as an all-star, he had a 3-8 record, 1 B WAR, 3.68 ERA at the end of the season across 63 and 2/3 innings pitched. Strikeouts per 9 was 8.5, so down about a full strikeout per 9, but the same thing with the walks, down from 4.7 to 3.4. This season, he's put up some more pedestrian numbers, 1-4 record, 4.38 ERA, but his fielding independent pitching is 3.6, the lowest of his career actually, suggesting he should be a little bit better than the results his ERA is currently getting out. He's also put up 20 saves so far in a Nationals uniform in 2025, striking out 7.4 per 9 and walking 3.2 per 9. He's also got a career low home run per 9 rate. He's actually cut it in half since his career norms, so this year he's definitely been good at keeping the ball in the ballpark. Finnegan was a steal for the Nationals as he was drafted originally by the Oakland A's in the 6th round of the 2013 draft, but was granted free agency and signed a minor league contract with the Washington Nationals. He ended up signing a contract with the Nationals again this year after hitting free agency, and the Nationals are very happy with what they've gotten out of Finnegan so far on his 1-year deal. Finnegan, in my opinion, projects to be the closer for the Detroit Tigers, but if they decide to go Will Vest or Alex Lange, you now have 3 really good back-end arms who I would be happy throwing out 7, 8, 9 to close out a Game 7 of a World Series. The first of 2 prospects heading back to Washington in this deal is Josh Randall, a right-handed pitcher who was their 3rd round pick in the 2024 MLB Draft. Randall followed a somewhat similar path to current Tigers starter Troy Melton, who has rose through the prospect ranks after being a relatively low draft pick and has really come on as a very strong prospect for the Tigers and someone who just recently made his major league debut, as they both started off as catchers before transitioning to pitching. He spent his first 2 collegiate years at Arizona, and he struggled as a freshman out of the bullpen and ended up only playing in 1 game as a sophomore before going down for the year because of a back injury. He then transferred to the University of San Diego, becoming their Friday night starter, which is the pinnacle for teams. If generally you put your best pitcher on Friday nights in college baseball. And then he ended up being a 3rd round pick in 2024 and actually made his major league debut in 2024, which the Tigers tend not to do. Actually, most teams tend not to do with pitchers when they get drafted. Part of Randall's appeal, though, is the fact that he hasn't had a ton of work on his arm. He's been injured a little bit, and he hasn't had a ton of opportunity to really go and stretch out longer than he needed to be. But he was a starter at San Diego State, and the Tigers definitely want to give him every chance to start that they can. So far, across 2 levels this season, Single A Lakeland and High A West Michigan, he started 17 games. He recently just got the promotion and had a great first start, pitching 5 scoreless innings with just 5 hits, didn't walk a single batter, struck out 6, and across 16 games and 75 1/3 innings pitched at Single A Lakeland, he's got a 5-5 record, 4.18 ERA, struck out 64 batters across those 75 1/3 innings pitched, 15 walks total, so he's got some pretty decent control as well. Randall has 2 above average pitches. Some outlets you might see ranking as a plus pitch, which is his sinking fastball and his slider. The fact he has those 2 things are really a positive for him and will allow him, at the very least, should he not get to keep the control he currently has, it's going to be a very solid middle of the bullpen kind of arm. Somebody you could count on in a 6th inning, 7th inning of a relatively close game to get you some outs. Given that he's a little bit safer, because you could probably see him fitting into a decently middle leverage relief role should he not work out as a starter. But control really isn't one of his issues, except with his changeup. It's a below average pitch because it really doesn't have any velocity separation from his slider and isn't something that he has a ton of control with. So he really needs to work on that to cement himself as a starter. He needs that third pitch. But so far, it seems like he's doing a good job of maintaining low ERAs, not necessarily striking out a ton of guys, but he's also not walking a ton of guys too. Randall could very easily see himself being a number 4 or number 5 starter long term for the Nationals. The final player we'll talk about is RJ Sales, the Tigers' 10th round pick in the 2024 MLB draft, who is currently unranked on both MLB Pipeline and Baseball America's top 30 list for the Tigers. Sales is a 6-foot, 170-pound righty who's got a fastball that sits around 94, tops out around 96. He has a cutter and a really nice 12-6 curveball, thanks to Emily Walden for that quick scouting report as well. And he definitely is going to be a starter long term. It looks like he doesn't have a strong breakout pitch that would make him into a reliever at all. So the floor for Sales is a little bit lower as someone who, if he isn't great with his control, could end up staying as a minor leaguer forever instead of being a bullpen arm. Maybe he becomes a long reliever, but really his ceiling is something more of a 4 or 5 starter at best, probably closer to a 5. And his floor is probably as a long reliever, if not someone who doesn't make the major leagues at all. Unlike Randall, Sales did not make his debut in the minor leagues in 2024, instead making his debut this year at Lakeland, their single A affiliate, going 4-3 with a 2.71 ERA. And just like Randall, they're known to be strike throwers. He's got 63 strikeouts and 66 and third innings pitched and only 17 walks. So the Nationals are targeting two guys who have decent control from the 2024 draft class, and they're hoping they can develop them and continue to grow as they go through the minor league system. This is an opposite to players that they got in the past couple trades they've made before this deadline, like for Josh Clemmy from the Cleveland Guardians, who is very much a high octane, really incredible stuff, but lack of control. So maybe these guys can play off each other and develop together and improve each other's weaknesses. Now that we've talked about all three players in this deal, let's go ahead and actually give this trade some trade grades. For the Washington Nationals, I'm going to give this trade a solid B. I think it's fine. I don't know if it jumps out of the page in any significant way for me. I don't know if it really changes the needle of how I project them to be in the future as well. I think getting a couple depth guys is always good. We've seen injuries really ravage teams, all of the Dodgers right now with their starting rotation and bullpen. So having depth is always a good thing, but I don't know if Sales or Randall really move the needle for me in any significant way. Randall is currently number 20 on the Tigers' top 30 prospect list and started the season ranked inside the top 15 for the MLB Pipeline list, 15th overall actually. So definitely some prospect pedigree there. Definitely not a bad addition at all. But the underlying metrics tell me that he doesn't have the potential to be anything more than probably a mid-level reliever at worst and a number 3 starter at best, probably more likely a number 4. So I don't know if the upside's right there. And as reliever prices have been sky high this year, I feel like Finnegan's a better get than the Rogers brothers, for instance, but he didn't command as much. So there might be some other reasons why, but I don't think this is as great of a deal as some of the other relievers that have already been traded. So I think a B is a fair grade for the Washington Nationals for the return they got in this deal. For the Tigers, I'm going to give this an A-, and that really stems from the fact that they traded away 2 pitchers in a minor league system that is littered with hitting prospects. Pitching is definitely their weakest spot, and you look at a lot of players like Troy Melton, Jackson Jobe, Ty Madden, who recently made their major league debut, and their pitching depth right now in the minor leagues is severely lacking. So they traded away from a place of weakness in their minor league system, which is fine. You obviously want to get the best players you can, but man, it is tough to see them trade away from their pitching when they have so many quality hitters in their minor league system. At the end of the day, though, I do think it's a fair trade. I think they got good value, which is what really matters. If I were the GM of the Detroit Tigers, I would probably make this trade. I would have no hesitation doing it. You're trying to go all in. You want to win not only the AL Central, but you also want to win the AL pennant and then the World Series. And to do that, you need to be able to compete with some of the bullpens that these teams are throwing out right now. And getting Kyle Finnegan absolutely does that. Thank you so much for getting to the end of the video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you made it this far, and tell me in the comments who you think won this deal. Thanks again for getting to the end of this video, and I hope to see you in the very next video as we break down even more trades this trade deadline.